about it, think 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 about it.
What I'm about to show you now is what I consider to be the proverbial nail in the coffin, which overwhelmingly indicates the existence of this lost ancient knowledge, which is simply not supposed to be possible.
What's up, family? This is your man, not your boy, Go Black to Africa. Look, I want to share this video with you all. Here it is. More maps came up from some of the Europeans who have delved into their history to find about Africa, and what we're saying, that there are rivers and lakes and cities that these even 1700, 1800 maps didn't even show. Check this video out, and I got something very important to disclose to you all.
In this video, I'm going to show you several astonishing lost maps of ancient Africa and the Sahara, which blew me away, as what's shown on these maps is simply not supposed to be possible, and the implications of which are absolutely enormous, as you'll see by the end of this video. Why on earth does a map that was created closer to 500 years ago, and which also happens to be one of the world's first ever maps to depict the entire continent of Africa as a whole, clearly illustrate lakes, rivers, and even a dense forest the size of Texas in the middle of the Sahara Desert, which, needless to say, is obviously far different than the vast, barren, continental-sized desert that we all know it for today. It must be mentioned that considering that this map was created by Sebastian Münster, who has been said to be one of the most influential cartographers of the 16th century, as he was the first person to print separate maps for each continent around the world. This caused me to go down the so-called rabbit hole in search of the oldest maps of Africa, and I could not believe just how many show the Sahara saturated with lakes, rivers, and even numerous cities and settlements scattered throughout the region. Whether it be this striking map created in 1482 by German printer Reinhard Holl, and upon closer inspection, you can see not only rivers and lakes, but numerous cities blanketing the entire region. Again, what on earth is all of this doing in the middle of the Sahara on a 500-year-old map? In fact, there are others which show walled cities and even castles throughout the region as well. What you're looking at here is the Catalan Atlas, a medieval world map from the year 1375 that was once within the Royal Library of France. And by the way, that is Mansa Musa of the Mali Empire, the richest man ever known to have existed in all of human history. In fact, nearly twice as wealthy as Elon Musk. But that aside, the very nature of all these cities in the middle of the Sahara, annotated on a map that is nearly 650 years old, is intriguing to say the least. So you can distinctly see that most of the Sahara is absolutely teeming with cities. Where did all of these civilizations go? I have to say that I find this map to be quite interesting, and I will come back to it later in this video as there is a significant detail that must be discussed. Take this map created by Italian engraver Fernando Bertelli in 1565, which blatantly shows three massive lakes connected by a river system. Upon a closer inspection, clearly shows the Sahara Desert buzzing with cities that follow along a system of rivers and lakes, again, on a map that was created more than 500 years ago. I think I'm starting to notice a pattern here. And if what I've showed you so far isn't already strange enough, this is where things get even more interesting and will continue to escalate through the rest of the video. The Sahara Desert was green and tropical as recently as 5,000 and 6,000 years ago. Why is there a map created in the year 1502 literally showing a green Sahara? This is a Portuguese world map called the Contino Planisphere, named after Alberto Contino, and smuggled to Italy from Portugal well over 500 years ago. Honestly, how have I never seen or heard of this map before? And why on earth does it so blatantly display the Sahara with such a lush tropical environment? And if you look closely, you can clearly see the details of trees and vegetation within. Here is something that may blow your mind, which is the discovery of the world's largest freshwater lake ever known to exist was also located in the middle of the Sahara and dates back 5,000 years and is referred to as Mega Lake Chad, which I have touched on in prior videos. Just consider the general region of Lake Chad's location, which is in modern-day country of Chad, and compare it to these old maps. And now consider this important detail, which is that Mega Lake Chad was actually the largest of 4 paleo lakes in the Sahara. Is that not what this map is showing? And inexplicably 500 years prior to its discovery in modern times. And if that isn't interesting enough, consider what I discussed moments ago related to the various maps I just showed you that clearly annotate a network of rivers traversing east and west through the middle of the Sahara, along with those areas teeming with civilizations, including obvious cities and settlements everywhere in between. Well, isn't it curious that a modern scientific study from within just the last decade identified a paleo river system of 3 large rivers that once existed in the middle of the Sahara and would have likely have supported ancient human migration routes from 5 to 11,000 years ago. As some of these maps are actually based on the work of Ptolemy, who created this map in the year 150 AD, closer to 2,000 years ago. Did this river exist at that time, or was Ptolemy passing down ancient knowledge from even older source maps that may have existed or been created thousands of years before his time? Consider the 1452 map of Sebastian Münster and refocus your attention away from the rivers, lakes, and forests and observe what is shown in the Western Sahara and in the same geographical location of the Richat structure, or the Eye of the Sahara as it's more commonly called. A spectacular geological feature unlike any other on Earth, and perhaps one of the most mysterious and bizarre structures in the world, which I have of course discussed at length on this channel as I have compared its striking similarities to the legend of the lost city of Atlantis. But never mind the topic of Atlantis and consider one thing and one thing only for a moment, which is the question as to whether this map is showing the Richat while consumed with water. In fact, here is a similar map created by Heinrich Bunting in the year 1581, which seemingly shows a river leading from the Atlas Mountains in North Africa and consuming the Richat with water. But if that's not compelling enough, take a look at this other map of Northern Africa while under the rule of the Roman Empire, which again seemingly details a river originating from the Atlas Mountains and appears to be arguably consume the Richat structure with water based on its circular nature and location, and also depicts it flowing out to the Atlantic Ocean. And this is where it gets wild, because we now know through recent scientific studies that the ancient Tamanrasset River flowed from the Atlas Mountains and widened some 500 kilometers or just over 300 miles all the way to the Atlantic and directly in the path of the Eye of the Sahara as far back as 11,700 years ago, before it mysteriously dried up approximately 5,000 years ago. Only thing stranger than all the various maps that I've shared with you throughout this video is the fact that so few people have ever even seen or heard of them before. But the very fact that virtually none of them are taught in school and that their contents are not included in modern debates involving Earth's climatical history, it seems to me that their absence in these conversations is highly unfortunate. Honestly, I think these maps stand to upend much of the modern discussion of our climate, which has sadly become highly political in recent times. I mean, where did all of the rivers, lakes, forests, and cities in the middle of the Sahara go? Definitely leave a comment and share your thoughts on everything that's been discussed in this video. Are these maps showing evidence of a lost ancient knowledge that from several thousand years earlier involving Earth's climatical history? Or is it possible that the Sahara Desert's climate was vastly different some 500 and 600 years ago? Definitely something fun to think about. But with all that said, my name is Jimmy Corsetti. My channel is called Bright Insight. Hit the like button and subscribe. And stay tuned for my next video, which I suspect is going to be incredibly thought-provoking for many people. All that said, take care, everyone.
What do you think? Let me say this in closing, y'all. I have been traveling around this globe, and I have come across information. This is nothing more than biblical findings that many people have refuted and rebuked, that Africa cannot be the chosen place or the land of milk and honey. We are going to realize that when we see these maps, we're going to also, I'm going to have them interpreted, those cities, those names, because we'll find they'll probably have significance. Not in what the Bible names are, because those names have been changed. But what is the rightful names? We're going to find what we will call the chosen people, the Holy Land, the Garden of Eden. This is your man, not your boy. Go black to Africa.
Think about it, think about it.